And in this video, we are going to discuss about the check constraint. So we have discussed in the previous video, we have discussed about unique constraints. So I'll simply click here on new query and it will open a new query window for us. And this time we are going to discuss about check constraint. So I will write check constraint. And this constraint checks for certain conditions. And these conditions, if these conditions will not be followed, so we will not be able to insert the records into that table, right? So it checks for certain condition that can be applied on the columns of a table if this condition fails, we will not be able to insert the records into the table, right? And we can rather write if this condition is not fulfilled, all right. So now let's take an example to understand this. And again, we will be considering two cases. So in the very first case, the table doesn't exist. And in the second case, the table exists and we want to add the check constraint. All right. Now, let's consider this case. So we can write create table and let's provide the name to the table. Let's write test underscore check, bracket open, bracket close. And inside the bracket, we can write, let's say there are certain columns that we want. So let's say the first column is EID again. And let's say EID is having data type integer. There is no constraint defined on EID column. Then we have first name. And let's say it is having data type varchar. And the maximum character length can be 256, comma. Let's say we have another column by the name age. And on age column, the check constraint is defined. It is having data type tiny int. And here it is written that check that age should be greater than equal to 10. So this check constraint will be applied on age column and you will be able to insert only those values in age column which are greater than equal to 10. So first of all, let's try to create this table. So I will execute this statement. And commands completed successfully. This table was created. Let's try to run a simple select statement to see this table. So we can write select star from test check. And let's execute it. So as of now, this table is not having any records because we have not inserted into any record. We have simply created the table. But this is the structure, like these are the columns that this table has, sorry. Now let's try to insert certain records into this table and let's see what happens. So we can simply write insert into test check values. And let's say in EID, we want to insert value 1. First name is, let's say, Mayank. And let's say the age is, let's say, 20 years. If we will try to execute this statement, that is insert into test check values 1 Mayank 20. So you will see that we were able to insert this record and the message was displayed as one row affected or impacted. If we will now run this simple select statement, so you can see that this is the data contained in this table. That's right. Now let's say we want to insert another record into this table and wherein we'll write insert into test check values, and let's try to insert EID 2. Let's say the name of the student is Raj, or the employee is Raj, and let's say the age is 9 years, for example. If you will now try to execute the statement written in line 18, you can see that an error is thrown, and it is written that the insert statement conflicted with the check constraint. So this is the name of the check constraint, and it conflicted with this check constraint, and the conflict occurred in the database constraints. So the database in which we are working is named constraints, and this happened with the column age, because on the column age there's a check constraint that is applied, and it checks that the age has to be greater than or equal to 10, and you were trying to insert a record where the age was less than 10. So that's why this error occurred. So that was all about this example, and that's how check constraint can be applied on a certain column in the given table that doesn't exist. Now let's say we want to apply the constraint, check constraint, on the EID column. As of now, you can see that in test check table on EID column, this check constraint is not applied, and we want to understand about this. So we can write alter table and then table name. So the name of the table is test underscore check. And then we can write add check. And let's say the condition is that EID has to be greater than 5. So we can write EID has to be greater than 5. If we will now execute the statement written in line 22-23, SQL code written in line 22-23. So the alter table statement conflicted with the check constraint this. The conflict occurred in database this. All right. So we were not able to execute this statement. Why? Because if you will run the simple select statement on test check table, you will see that in EID column already there is a value which is less than 5, and you are trying to apply a check constraint on EID column where the value has to be greater than 5. That's why the constraint failed, this code failed, and we were not able to apply this particular constraint on EID column. So for that purpose, what we can do, we can update this statement, and we can change this 1 to, let's say, 11. So I will write update table, that is test check, and then update table name, and set EID is equal to 11, where EID is equal to 1. So if we will now try to execute this statement, update statement written in line 20, so one row was affected, and if we will now execute this simple select statement on test check table, so you can see now the EID is 11. Now let's try to create this check constraint on EID column. If I will now execute the code written in line 23-24, so you can see commands completed successfully. And now let's say we want to insert another record into this table. So we will write insert into test check values where the EID is less than 5. Let's say we want to insert EID 3. Then let's say the name might be Nitin, and the last name is, in the last column we had to provide the age, right? So we can write the age as 34, and let's execute the statement written in line 26, and the insert statement conflicted with the check constraint. The conflict occurred in database constraints on the column EID. Why? Because we have now defined the check constraint on EID that the EID has to be greater than 5, and you are trying to insert an EID which is less than 5. That's why this insert statement failed. But if you will try to insert an EID which is greater than 5, let's change it to 30. Let's copy this statement rather. Let's come to line 28, and let's change this 3 to 30, and now try to execute the statement, insert statement written in line 28. So now we were able to insert the record because the check constraint was not violated, right, on EID column and on the age column as well. Now if we will run the simple select statement on test check table, so this is the data that we have, and this is the second record that we inserted. So I hope this video was helpful and you got an idea and understanding about the check constraint. We will meet in the next session. We will discuss about other constraints. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye.